Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Above the Curve. I'm here with Jerry Thompson and Brad Nelson. We're going to take a look at the standard metagame and a new metagame breakdown just for the Los Angeles Invitational. So, Brad, talk to me. What's the standard format? What's going on with it?
The standard format is probably one of the coolest standard formats I've ever seen, especially after the last 2 years where we just ended up having Delver versus Delver, anti-Delver, Delver, Stone Forge, Cobblade.
Hey man, that was sweet.
It was boring. It was so boring. I hated being part of the team that, broke the Cobblade deck. I wish it just never happened.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
It would have ended up
I feel so bad for you.
I mean, I didn't do well with the deck, so.
That's fair.
But right now it's so interesting because the cards are so powerful that I'm finding that these strategies exist, right? We have black-red vampire or zombies, and we have all these blue-white control decks and blue-white-red, but they're not actually the decks that define themselves. It's the most powerful card in them. Like black-red zombies has Hellkite and Giraffe's Messenger, but mostly it's Hellkite. And so I'm finding in this format, when building a deck, I'm not actually trying to fight an archetype. I'm trying to fight their most powerful card, or the most powerful card against me. And most of the time it's Sphinx's Revelation, or it could be Thragtusk. So like the decks that can't beat Thragtusk are playing Thundermaw Hellkite, and the decks that can't beat Sphinx's Revelation are playing Slaughter Games. They're not actually like trying to find a form of spells to actually just beat their strategy. They're just trying to beat the most powerful thing in their deck and hope the rest of their powerful cards beat their others, because they're relying on their Sphinx's Revelations to win the game, so the rest of the cards might be weaker against the more powerful effects in the opponent's deck. And so I think the format is defined by the actual cards that exist, not by the archetypes that exist.
So it's more of like a one-card strategy kind of thing for most archetypes.
Most archetypes have 1 to 2 cards that define what they're trying to do.
Okay, well, if there are some really powerful cards, then why don't you just name the 5 most influential cards in the format?
Well, okay, so I will do that. Number 1, we have Sphinx's Revelation.
Okay.
By far the most powerful, annoying card ever. Like, we had Blue Sun Zenith, and it's just no life means no
Stream
play.
of life right on it.
Yeah. We have Thragtusk, obviously. Just the most powerful thing. If blue decks come in, you just put the Cavern Souls in deck. But the Cavern Souls actually is not what makes Thragtusk good. It's that Thragtusk exists.
Sure.
So Cavern would not be a card without Thragtusk. We have Unburial Rites, any Reanimator type strategy. Angel's Serenity, not that good without Unburial Rites, even though Angel's Serenity is the real reason. Silverblade Paladin, because it's sweet, it doesn't have to go with anything. It just has to pair with, I'll pair it with my hand. I don't care. It's just going to kill a person. And last but not least, Thundermaw Hellkite.
Okay. Well, when it comes to Sphinx's Revelation, I think Jerry's cast it a few more times than you have.
I have not cast it yet.
So, yeah.
I have yet to cast the card.
All right, so Jerry, break it down for us. Why is Sphinx's Revelation just one of the pillars of the format?
It makes it very easy to win. So the blue-white red deck that I've been playing is mostly just like these cards that give you small edges. You try and not die. You have things like Pillar of Flame that are good against certain creatures, but again, like Brad's saying, there are these pillars of the format that you just can't beat with like a single removal spell. There's nothing that is good against every creature. Like Azorius Charm is the closest thing, but they still get to like play Cavern and play it again next turn, and you're still like in the same hole. So I have things like Pillar of Flame and Azorius Charm to buy me time, but ultimately I'm not going to be able to deal with all their threats. So I need something like Sphinx's Revelation to just like draw 5 cards, give me a couple more turns, and then I can Snapcaster do it again, or find another Revelation, cast that for like 8 or 9 or whatever, and then I can just bury them in kind of like ineffectual cards that match up well against their big cards.
Okay. One of the decks that incorporates Sphinx's Revelation is Bant, which also incorporates Thragtusk.
Yeah.
So we all know Thragtusk is a pretty good card, but it's definitely come to define the format, and it's not going anywhere. So
no. The biggest reason why Thragtusk is as powerful as it is that in Magic, I really think there's like 3 pillars that define cards. There's life, there's tempo, and there's card advantage.
Okay.
So what it means is like, card like, for example, try to explain this really quickly, but card like Bitter Blossom, it sacrifices life for card advantage. It gives you a stream of guys. But where Thragtusk, it gains you the life, it gives you 2 bodies, so that's the card advantage of it, and the life is the life, and it gives you a tempo boost because you're not investing in that second body. Like now, if you had to flash back Thragtusk for the beast,
sure,
that wouldn't be the tempo that the card gives you, but it gives you it all in this simple, clean form of 5 mana. And that's why the card's just so powerful, because it's just doing everything the game allows it to do. You're beating your opponent on all fronts with one spell. They have to use 2 spells to kill it. It gives them life if you're trying to be aggressive, and the tempo of being able to get the guy and attack right away through a Wrath gives you the ability to be aggressive, defensive, and card advantage with the card. So like any deck can play this card and it's powerful. It's actually just too good of a card, but it's not good enough to get banned. It's just really funny. But so that card is definitely defining the format. It's another reason why Sphinx's Revelation is so good.
Yeah, it's one of the few things that goes over the top of Thragtusk.
Yes, and that's another reason why almost everything else on this list, actually, they all can go over Thragtusk. So Thragtusk can beat everything else in the format, but these 4 cards can actually do better than Thragtusk, so that's why they exist.
If Thragtusk didn't exist, like, these wouldn't be our pillars,
No.
I don't think. So,
Yeah, speaking of going over the top, Thundermaw Hellkite does that quite literally.
Yes.
Flying over a Thragtusk. Jerry, you've had to play against Thundermaw Hellkites pretty recently over the course of a few tournaments. Yeah.
It is terrible. It's like, man, I just want a turn to cast my Revelation. Just like, put the brakes on, buddy. Hold on. Like, let me draw some cards. And they're just like, no, 5. I'm just like, what do I do? And it's so sick that like the zombie deck that was already good, everyone thought like with the new format, zombies would be the best deck. And it was until it was hated out by things like Pillar of Flame. And now they found a way to play like the Aristocrats, the Hellkites, the Hell Riders, and to just not worry about that. And yeah, like you said, go over the top. Like, okay, you play a Thragtusk, you gain 5, that's cool, take 5 more. Like,
do you remember when you played against a zombie opponent, and if on their turn 2 they played a Guildgate, you're like, that's fine, that's awesome, I can't believe you wasted all the tempo. Now when they go Guildgate and Guildgate, I'm like, oh, their mana's perfect, and they hit their land
they
drops.
actually get to cast their spells, I'm so dead.
Oh, how the times have changed.
Yeah, so it took a while for Hellkite to find its place. You know, like everyone said that this card's awesome, and it was a good card, but there was no need for it, you know? And now with Thragtusk and Revelation in the format, like that is the card that the aggressive decks and even the mid-range decks are going to just like beat up on each other, so.
Yeah. Chop a colored mana off a Rook's Bladewing, it's good. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
With some upside, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to kill the Lingering Souls tokens and the Moorland Hunt tokens
definitely a
is
big
definitely
deal.
the coolest thing.
Yeah.
All right, so when it comes to beatdown, Brad, you've always been a big fan of the small creatures
Mostly
and a variety
the
of other
mid-range
decks. Mostly the
ones.
mid-range ones.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. One of those is Silverblade Paladin.
Yes.
Which I think it's kind of hard to tell that if that creature is really defining the format, but certainly the backbone of the green-white aggressive deck, right?
It's their best draws.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Silverblade does something different than every card in the format. Like, you can name any card in this format and it does something unique. And what it does is, I feel that every deck needs not only its initial 7, but another 7 to win the game. And Silverblade's the only card that breaks that. It is powerful enough to do enough damage that the game is just over. You can keep your 7 and never draw another card and still turn 4 kill them. Because there's no card advantage with this card, there's no interaction. You either kill it or it kills you. Okay. And I don't think any card exists at that speed and at that power level. Like, yes, you want a Rancor to go with it, or you want a Selesnya Charm, but the card still just lets your Loxodon Smiters deal 8, and you just have to interact immediately. But there's no deck in the format that runs that high density of interactive spells because they can't interact with Thundermaw Hellkite, they can't interact with Thragtusk or Umberrites or Sphinx's Revelation. There's not a lot of cheap, efficient removal. So a lot of decks, some like the vampire decks or the zombie decks, have a little bit, but for the most part, Silverblade gets in a lot of damage early, and it's the most scary card I can think of in the format.
Yeah, definitely. It plays a very interesting role of being like an aggressive threat that also plays support with all the other cards.
Yep.
Makes them a lot better. I guess our last one. This is a card you've played a lot recently.
Yes.
Probably you've cast more of them than Jerry's cast Sphinxes because yours has flashback.
Almost certainly.
His has flashback too, but
I mean,
Yeah, mine draws into more, but yeah, like we've both been doing our fair amount of our,
it's a
our
competition.
respective things.
The fifth card is Unburial Rites. So Unburial Rites, pillar of the format. What makes it such a strong card in the format?
Because decks aren't interacting that much with each other, and Thragtusk is making decks go over the top, you get to do things like Craterhoof Behemoth and Angel Serenity, and you get to spend those early turns not interacting with your opponents. Now, because zombies and green-white were so popular a couple weeks ago, Unburial Rites just wasn't as good because it doesn't want to interact early. It wants to use Mulches and Grisly Salvages and Tracker's Instincts to build up a draw. But once Sphinx's Revelation takes over the format again, which it will, 100%, it'll beat.
I'm doing my damnedest.
I know you're trying. I know you're trying, but you know that I have the trump card. Like, we know it's there.
The eternal struggle.
Yeah, and this is the trump card, and this will always be able to come over the top of all these control decks. Even with removal, they've all proven that they can exist through Graveyard Hate. So Unbearer Rights will always just be this reset button, and that's what I think is going to happen. It's just whenever aggressive decks start losing too much, this deck pops in, pushes in the rock, paper, scissors once again.
Okay, well, guys, those are 5 cards worth keeping in mind during deck building. You're going to get to see them all in action over the course of the Los Angeles Invitational.
Wait, there's a 6th card.
What's the 6th card?
Crater Hoof.
Hoof. There it is. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and close out this episode. On behalf of Brad and Jerry, thanks for watching, and enjoy the Los Angeles Invitational.